Yeah, like Jai Hind and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. As promised, we are back to analyze the Indian neighborhood and the Chinese influence. As I say, the Chinese have created crisis all around India. I have with me Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar, as you can see. Sir, thank you so much. Interesting and very important subject, considering a lot of development taking place in the Indian neighborhood.
Yeah, good evening, Adi, and good evening to all the viewers. It's a very important thing. If you remember, neighborhood first is our policy, and we've been discussing about Taiwan, we've been discussing about Middle East, we've been discussing about Afghanistan, been discussing about Ukraine. We need to discuss our own neighborhood, right? What are the issues and everything? And a lot of things are happening. You're right, in a way, Chinese have created this crisis, uh, right? But we also have to understand we gave them the space, not now, long back, for whatever reasons. And I think to a large extent we've learned our uh, lessons that now we are trying to get our neighborhood back. And at this point of time, our neighborhood is full of opportunities and threats. And it's at a critical time. It's at a critical time when India is the lone standing member of this South Asian community in some good order and discipline, right? And the others are in a bit of a are in shaky conditions, varying degrees. The world, you know, is divided between the Ukraine war and the Taiwan Strait crisis and the global inflation, right? And so this kind of a thing, it's very easy for us to get lost in the flotsam and jetsam of global affairs and lose focus on our neighborhood. So I think it's a good subject we've chosen, and full credit to you, Adi. And we can start wherever you want.
There's some people who want to, our regulars
Yeah.
want to wish evening.
Hi, Srinivas. How are you? And hi, Venki. How are you? Good evening to all of you.
Good evening, Harsh.
And
Thank you
Harsh
so much
also.
for joining. Nice to see the our regular crowd coming back and joining us for the show. So let's begin with Sri Lanka. There's a lot which is being spoken about Sri Lanka, but
Yeah.
before I do, I'd request all of you guys, please hit the like button. That's critical. Hit the subscribe if you've not already done so. You can support me on on the UPI numbers which are mentioned down below on the screen, or you can join the channel as a member, or you can actually send us super stickers or super chats by clicking thanks. It is really nice to have all of you back. As I was saying, sir, let's start with what you call Sri
Sri
Lanka.
Lanka.
The big
Well,
game is about the ship.
I wouldn't say game is about a ship. The ship is only a small blip in this ocean. A ship, it'll come. It's a spy ship. It's going to do some spying and go back. How much? And but then we put enough pressure on it so that when it comes to Sri Lanka, it will not have its electronics on. It'll stay for 5, 10, 15 days, and it'll have to get back. Okay, but that's not an important thing. But I think Sri Lanka is the important thing.
Yes.
Okay, right? And what's important about this ship is that the Chinese have had to really, muscle their way through,
Hmm.
right? So, and the fact that Sri Lanka did respond to our request not to get it here. Well, we all know that Sri Lanka is under great debt to China, and eventually that ship will come back. I had never had a doubt. Sri Lanka wouldn't have had the space to say anything to China. It's stuck between this thing for whatever it is. So it's still struggling, right? But we made our thing that we may convey to China in no uncertain terms that the game in Sri Lanka is not going to be one-sided hereafter. It's going to get difficult, right? So we have to play this game smartly. We have to continue assisting Sri Lanka. We need to take Japan on board because Japan is also a major creditor of Sri Lanka. We need to take USA on board. In fact, USA is on board already, right? And we need to help them through the IMF loan. We need to pressurize China into restructuring their loans in some manner, right? Otherwise, China might look out as the odd sore thumb and the global, shyster all again. So China will be cognizant of this. So we have to play our game smartly. We have to help the you know Sri Lankan government to recover from the political crisis. We also have to continue helping the Sri Lankan people with their daily necessities so that their economy revives. Right? It's an opportunity. The tough thing will be to keep China out because China will come back, and now China will come back all guns firing. Well, what Venki says, China will pay for refueling. That's a minor thing for the ship. But that's not the big issue. The issue is how to keep China out of the equation. I think it's a great opportunity for Japan, India, and Sri Lanka as the spearheads of the Quad to, come to Sri Lanka's help and keep reduce Chinese influence. I mean, let's not wish it away that China can be shut out. After all, China 26% of Sri Lankan credit is with China, sovereign credit and banks and all that. And Hambantota is still with them for a 99-year lease. So if you think that the whole thing will go, it will not go. But how can you marginalize it is a game point there.
Can I ask you one thing, sir? The
Yeah.
question that comes to play, and looking at how Sri Lanka responded to this entire, the mix up that took place, if I may use that word very loosely, was that I feel that Sri Lanka kind of took this step knowing the fact that one, it is defaulted, so it doesn't have that kind of pressure of Chinese loans not coming in and stuff like that. Would you agree to something like that? That once
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the way to look at it. China isn't, look, Sri Lanka has got a lot of sovereign debt with China outstanding. If that is called in, it'll have a problem. If China doesn't restructure loans, IMF also will not come to its rescue. So China has got a lot of leeway with its loans. It's just not a matter of China taking a haircut and saying thank you. That won't happen. So we have to be cognizant of it, right? And if we play a too hard a role, it is Sri Lanka who will get squashed. You have leeway, use it well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Use it with patience. Yeah. Don't expect out of proportion results. You neglected that island in a manner for the past 20 years. It will take time for us to get back. This is a good beginning. Let's go through the people. The people ultimately matter.
I think that's a very important thing that you said. We've neglected that island for a long time, and now we expect Sri Lankans to stand up and fight for us. And
no, they're not.
Yeah, that's what the outburst is today. But I agree with you, sir. Let's move to Pakistan, sir. What's happening there? The CPEC seems to be in the doldrums, but the Chinese are quite hell-bent to keep it alive, and they bring out statements.
I don't think the Chinese are very sure in Pakistan as to what will be the outcomes.
Yeah.
I read an article today somewhere, where they worried about Afghanistan and the problem with Xinjiang. They're worried about Gilgit-Baltistan and things going up from there. They're worried about Xinjiang. Let's be very clear. And what they've seen in the past 1 year that Taliban has turned around against Pakistan itself. If they turned around against Pakistan after all the help Pakistan has given, they're turning around against China is on the cards. That's the first thing. Then Pakistan internal politics itself is so bad. Today I was hearing, Imran Khan. Now he keeps quoting our external affairs minister, our way we've handled the oil crisis and all that, and he keeps calling them imported, government and all that. And he's as vitriolic as ever. He calls them thieves. The politics of Pakistan are in a very bad shape. Except the fact that the rupee has recovered due to the IMF loan, nothing else has moved forward in Pakistan. That too on the hope by the end of the month that loan will come. Okay, otherwise nothing has moved. Yeah, I forgot about Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has led one Pakistani frigate there, if you remember,
Yeah,
Timur,
there's some
right?
naval
It's
exercise.
yeah, it's for it's going or coming out of a naval exercise. It's a Chinese-built frigate. It's docking. We also have to remember that Sri Lanka went to Pakistan when we were out of the island, and Pakistan gave them a lot of trouble. I mean, a lot of help, arms, and all that to fight the LTT. So let's also expect pressure from Pakistan. It might not be monetary pressure, other ways. They'll call on the old favors. After all, international relations is not exactly black and white. So this combined effort of China and Pakistan will be there in Sri Lanka to create space for themselves. Right now, let's get it. But of course, with Pakistan the way it is, not much can happen. But that's a different story. But coming back to Pakistan, the Gwadar port is completely down. There's no work going on, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe some small work is going on. Uh, a CPC is virtually come to a halt.
Mm.
I mean, you can hear reports coming of something planning this, that, but virtually it is thing. You read any newspaper, they CPC. There's only people are cursing CPC, right? And yesterday, a lot of articles in the newspaper about where they've reached in 75 years. And then every article, every paper says, look, we've reached nowhere. We are internally in a problem. We have huge population. They have 65% of our population is below 23. Unpad, totally radicalized education, Islamized, radical Islam in their education. So they are in a problem. They know it. They also know they're not going to get out of it. Okay. I know in the midst of all this, their chief goes and reviews the passing out parade in Sandhurst. The Brits have called him. Oh, the Brits are Brits, I suppose they're Paki lovers. After all, they created Pakistan, right? So they will have that this thing, and there's a huge, population and Pakistani population in Britain. So this has been called, but the situation in Pakistan is dicey,
Delicate.
uh, very delicate, right? We don't know which side it goes. There are still killings going on of the security forces. The rebels, TTP is, though the talks on, nothing much is coming out of it, right? And I don't think anything will come out of it. And the best part is the Afghan Taliban is supporting the TTP. So
Everyone's a PLA,
yeah, yeah.
PE.
They are in trouble, and I hope they stay that way. And China can't help them out. Okay, so that's how it is.
Let's move to our next neighbor, sir. Before let's go a little bit towards the east. We've got Nepal, who's also been kind of dilly-dallying with China. Of course, the public sentiment is very different, but the government sentiment seems to be different.
It's not that public sentiment and the government sentiment is different. The public also doesn't want China. The government also, heart of hearts, doesn't want China.
Out of
But
hearts, yeah.
the loans to China and China is pressurizing them for the highway and to extend the BRI, which Nepal is trying to avoid, and they are in a debt crisis. They have they are flip flopping. China is muscling them in to reject aid from USA, but when USA is giving free money, why will Nepal leave it? So at this point of time, they've said no. They will come back. They'll play, and Nepal will play a double game. Expect that. But ultimately, it has to come back to India, because if in a problem, it has to come back to India, because
Mm.
all routes go from the south. There's hardly anything which can come from Tibet, right? Everyone knows that, right? Nepal is a 50-50 case at this
That's
point of time. Let us see which side it goes. We have to play our hand carefully out there,
mm.
right? Um, because
I think I've just lost General Shankar. I'll just try and get him back
no, I'm
in.
here. I'm back.
Okay,
You're back.
perfect. You're
Yeah,
being hung up. No problem. Let's continue, sir.
yeah. Then we are looking at Bangladesh. Bangladesh is turned. You remember the foreign minister of Bangladesh recently said
Yeah,
taking loans
very
from
strong
BRI
statement.
is, yeah, was not correct, and I mean it'll only land you in trouble. And in fact, Mr. Shekhar Gupta, in off the cuff or cut the clutter, he mentioned that Bangladesh talking about BRI loans is important. Why it's
Mhm.
important? It's a message to the world that look, don't take loans from BRI or from China. Okay, Bangladesh has taken loans from China only that much which can repay, and it has not given away important projects to China. So to that extent, though China has given them, almost 92 or 94% duty-free, export, import, trade benefits to Bangladesh. It duty-free. Bangladesh can do up to 94% of their exports to China duty-free, right? That has been given. That's a SOP, but still Bangladeshis have not fallen for it beyond a point. Or they are also, look, I don't blame Bangladesh. They'll see which side their bread is buttered and eat it that way. But the good point is that they have realized that BRI. Look, why BRI? BRI is important for China. The rest of the things I'm not too bothered. You see BRI failing in Sri Lanka, you see BRI failing or CPEC failing in Pakistan.
Pakistan.
It has not taken off in Bangladesh, it has not taken off in Myanmar beyond a point. So if these are there, our neighborhood is reasonably secure, right? Now, one. Number two, that means all the BRI projects there are stuck.
Mm.
And add Kenya, add Zambia, add Angola, all those other African countries where BRI is in a mess. And you see that there are a lot of people who want debt restructuring of BRI. And BRI, if you remember, had written is one of the Ponzi schemes of China. We had discussed this also, right? So that is going to hurt China. In fact, today, I mean, I must tell you this: we've actually been ahead of the curve. I hope people who are listening to us understand this. Yeah, and I was talking today to someone, and this is what I had to put across to them. What Adi and I have discussed in the past 2 years regarding China have all come true. We said that the BRI will collapse, it's not sustainable, that's happening. We said that COVID will catch China, it's catching. We also said that the property sector will let China down, it's happening. Okay. The reason is very simple. We also said that the army will be over militarized and inexperienced, will not be able to cross the Taiwan Straits. I said this long back, 6 months back, in a series on PLA. We said this. It's not happening because everyone thinks that China is going to come and huff and puff everything away like a wolf. It doesn't happen. Most of us have got used to the Chinese influence of, we have converted it into a huge dragon and we are worried about them. It's not so. It's in pain. Look, you open today's South China Morning Post. You look at the opinion columns. You will see that they have two debt crises, and their two debt crises are BRI and property,
Top.
bank mortgages. This is what he's talking of. We've spoken of twin Ponzi's. They can't talk as twin Ponzi's, which they are. The schemes are basically Ponzi schemes. So they put it in, that fellow also has to live in wherever that fellow is living in China or Hong Kong. So he's put it diplomatically and but there's a problem.
Yes.
And the real estate is an absolute bad case. There's also an article on that.
Yeah.
So China economy is shaky. So what does it tell us? It tells us that India has an opportunity in its own backyard. Okay.
I think that's the crux
Despite all
point
the,
we
yeah,
are discussing.
that's the crux. China is now over. China cannot look away from Taiwan. It look like a fool if it backs away from Taiwan. It focuses on Taiwan. It focuses on economy. It cannot do anything. It focuses on COVID. Half of China is still locked up. Zero COVID will continue. It's focused on the 20th Party National Congress which has to come. Everything you talk is 20th Party National Congress, where this fellow Xi Jinping is going to get re-elected or whatever. So with these preoccupations, we have great opportunity and we need to make use of it. I'm not saying that we are not making use of it.
Lot
Right?
more probably needs to
Yeah,
be done.
we need to keep at it, and so that we don't lose focus.
Sir.
Okay, and the last country in our thing, Myanmar. Well, Myanmar has got its own problems. Neither China has made inroads, nor we have made inroads. But that's Myanmar's history. Okay,
It's a
whoever
difficult
comes
country.
to power, huh?
Difficult
Yeah,
country, sir.
yeah, difficult country to handle. Um, so all we can do is do our best, and I know we are doing our best. Apparently, it doesn't appear that we are doing our best, but Myanmar is hedging their bets between India and China. That I'm very sure. Okay, so let's see where it goes. I mean, this is a small roundup of our,
Fair enough.
neighborhood.
Common that you mentioned in all the countries, and that is something before we just dig into a lot of the questions. So guys, please start putting questions. It's probably the last question I will ask. So I'll switch to your questions after this. So please do start, pounding them in. But what I was saying was, so one thing that we realize is that in all these countries there is a singularity of the factor that betting between India and China, all these countries would take that opportunity to kind of take the best for them, of course, and there's nothing wrong in that. But they would hedge both these India and China against each other.
I agree with you. These countries have been hedging from long. They also know that they don't want to get caught between these two big countries. But they also know that they have no choice but to get. They can get away from China, but they can't get away from India because of communication linkages, cultural linkages, ethnic linkages, whatever. So whatever, right? We have too many. We know that. So we have an advantage at this point. Like I said, we have an advantage. How we drive home that advantage is up to us. Let's not imagine that China will be completely wiped away from this area. That can't happen. But the time when India was marginalized and these people are dealing exclusively with China has gone. I mean, we also did a program, if you remember, where we said the global influence is waning.
Chinese influence is waning.
China's influence is waning. Again, we are not. I'm not saying this now. We said this. We've said all this 6 months back. Today, everyone else is saying. Okay. I mean, why am I saying this again and again in this channel? Is Adi and I do a lot of reading and analysis of this whole story. I'd said long back, 2 years back, that there'll be nothing on the LAC significant. Small chutputs will happen for the next 2 years. 2 years have passed, nothing has happened. I don't see anything happening for the next 1-2 years also. Okay. Something untoward happening and taking off is a different story. That can always happen. But by logic, nothing can happen. Nothing should happen. Yeah.
Let's dig in, sir. Mandar says, is the crisis around India created by design by the Chinese, or has it happened as an unnecessary consequence of bad Chinese loans?
Yeah, hi Mandar. Nice to hear this question. It's a combination of both. One, China has designed to put that pearl of strings around us, to entrap all our neighbors so that we are hemmed in. Okay, our regional influence is curtailed. Once our regional influence is curtailed, Chinese influence would have come up in IOR. But the flip side of the story, as you rightly said, is that the Chinese loans were bad loans from the start. There was no diligence. The projects were mostly unviable. Everyone knew it, but everyone said, "No, let's get on. Things will happen on their own." The Chinese are now realizing it, that we've given loans where we shouldn't have given loans. Okay. And I mean, Sri Lanka is going to be the basket case and the prime example for all this. But Pakistan is not far behind because none of the projects in Pakistan are working. All the power plants are shut.
Yeah.
Okay. And see, 2 years back, 3 years back, when I started writing about CPC, CP started coming up, CPEC started coming up. There used to be 18 to 20 hours of power cuts in Pakistan. So after 5, 6 major thermal projects coming in, and power is 35% of CPEC. Now, despite that, you have 18 hours of power, 16 to 18 hours of power cut in Pakistan today.
Yeah.
Right? So we knew it from then itself. They're all unviable projects. You build a power plant where you have to import coal from Indonesia, and it is being run by a Chinese, and that fellow, whether you take his money or not for the power power or not, for the power he produces, you pay him a fixed amount. He's always happy he's getting his thing. You can't pay him. You can't collect money. It had to happen. Okay. Most of the power plants are shut today. Right? So that's what it is. Yeah. Next question. Let's.
Amarpal says, how can we tackle China in the long term, both economically and militarily, given that we are struggling with the basics both on an economic and military fronts?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair question. Very fundamentally, we have to build up our strengths. Like I said, today is an opportunity where China is slowing down significantly. Its economy is significantly slowing down. But its military power is rising because they've invested in that military long back. That's something which is continuing. They can't come out of it. And whatever money they put, the capabilities will keep increasing. And the history of China is that whenever China has been weak economically and militarily strong, it has created trouble. And that's what it is doing now. Okay. On the flip side, our economy is growing. We have to consolidate. Again, it's not something we're not doing. For example, in the pharmaceutical sector, where we are supposed to be the pharmacy of the world, 90% of our APIs come from China, active pharmaceutical ingredients. There's a move afoot, and a serious move afoot in India, to make these APIs in India. Okay. And this has been commented upon. Maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, you will start reducing your dependence on China. In certain cases, we are 100% dependent on China, certain ingredients. So there is a plan. Maybe in the next 3 to 4 years, you will see this coming down from 100% to 60% or 65%. I mean, depends on how things go. And maybe by about 2030, we should be self-sufficient. And the funny part is, in 1991 and around that time, we were fully self-sufficient on all our APIs. Because of poor, our economy was bad, our internal policies were bad. So all these API capability went away to China, right? And then, well, there's no point looking back over our shoulder and crying about it. So we have to think. But I always maintain one thing. We should not become the alternate China to the world. We cannot afford to become another China because China is a polluted country. A lot of arable land has gone in industrialization. As a result, they're food insecure, or rather food dependent. I won't say insecure, but they're food dependent from outside. They don't have the technology to grow their own food. I mean, very surprising. Again, there's a fact. Okay, so we go the China route, we will suffer more because we are a more densely packed country, and we cannot afford to lose the fundamental ability to produce food, and we cannot afford pollution, right? So if you see what's happening, global warming is happening. Europe is under drought. Complete rivers have become like streams. Okay, I mean, yesterday I was seeing some channel France, the forests are on fire. Yeah, we can't afford it. Such things
UK,
we can't afford. So you have to be smart and intelligent about how you industrialize.
absolutely, 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 absolutely. It
Yeah,
cannot be a race to beat China. It has to be a race to develop India.
yeah, that's the thing. We need to develop, and once we develop, everything will be okay. I have no doubt. Our military is strong. Don't worry about it. I'm very confident about one thing. I'm confident is our military. Look, I've always maintained one thing, that the Indian armed forces, even today, are strong enough to defend the territorial integrity of the nation. But they're not modern enough to make it into a great power. That modernization process has to make us a regional power. That's the whole process of modernization. If you think any part of the LAC can be taken away or the LC can be taken away with Pakistan and China, in the condition they are, very doubtful.
Yeah, let's move forward, sir. So Pakistan in current situation or Pakistan in a
Not
default,
default.
what would be good for India?
Pakistan, that's a good question, Abhay. It doesn't matter. I only hope whether Pakistan defaults, whether it's in the current situation, nothing. It cannot come out of this situation for the next 1 to 2 years.
Yeah,
In fact, it might even go worse, right? And the way I look at it, we should not do anything with Pakistan. Just leave it alone. Let it stew in its own juices and be happy.
let the cookie crumble as it may.
Let the cookie crumble the way it wants. We have nothing to do with Pakistan. That's the best hands-off policy.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's how. And this is my thing. Whether it breaks up, it doesn't break up. Whether it Imran Khan comes, Imran Khan goes, Shahbaz Sharif comes, goes. It doesn't matter who the next army chief is, whatever it is. They are for the next 2 years minimum, and even more. Their economy will not revive. And there are fundamental reasons for this. Please understand. There are 230 million people. By the end of this decade, 2030, this is going to become 250 million. And 65% of them will be less than 23 or 25 years of age. They will, and they're not educated, they're not skilled. Where will they go? What will you do with this demographic bomb? Who will feed them? They can't feed themselves. 3 years back, 3 to 4 years back, Pakistan was a net food exporter.
yeah.
Today, it's
Used
a
to
net food importer, and this will not change. Like I said, agriculture. If you see, many countries in Europe and all are struggling for lack of food. So your agriculture, it could be only 20% of your GDP or 5% of your GDP, but doesn't feed your population, you're stuck. And Pakistan is stuck. It doesn't have
most
water. In the next 5 years, 2025, Pakistan is going to hit the state of absolute water scarcity. And this again, I've written about it 2 years back. These are all writings on the wall. Look, let me also we have the bad news that we are not very far behind. Only thing is, there is some modicum of sense in what we are doing, that we are above, our nose is above the water. But one moronic government comes somewhere and we are going to go down.
no question,
Okay.
sir.
If any government becomes too ideological and too, chest thumping and all that, it is doing everything else, one fine day you will find some drought will happen, and you will also get into the same problem. And our
Focus.
problem will be fivefold. Okay. So we need to be careful about this. Right? If we talk of strategic autonomy and global, reach and power and all that, first feed yourself. Our first thing should be, we should be able to feed ourselves. There's a lesson in whatever is happening in Pakistan for our own water management and food. Right? All these farm laws and all which we couldn't put through. If we had put through those farm laws, we would have been better off now. So there are our politics, and mind you, This is not just the opposition, it's just not the ones in power. Both are equally bad at to this point of time on these issues. Right? They are not thinking fully about the nation. They're looking at part thinking about the nation and part thinking to get power.
Hmm.
So there is a problem with us. We need to know. Why I'm saying this is I'm not political at all. I'm not bothered which government comes where. Provided it can feed all of us, it can give water to all of us, it can ensure we don't have pollution. Something which that a government can do these three, four things is the best government for me.
Absolutely. Next, okay. What is the way forward to Sri Lanka, be it economic, military, or political? How long Sri Lanka can play the bargaining chip with regards to India and China, and what will be the readiness for India in dealing with Sri Lanka? My God, so many questions.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's fine. Dimple always comes up with good questions, so we'll answer this. See, uh, let's look at it slightly from a different perspective. China is in a position where it can't help Sri Lanka. The only country which is helping Sri Lanka for the past 3 months is India.
Hmm.
And whatever help India is giving is being backed up by Japan. Recently, in the ASEAN meet, the Japanese external affairs minister or external affairs minister and the Sri Lankan external affairs minister met, and they came to some understanding on these issues. So there is some thinking, joint thinking. USA has said, let India deal with this whole problem. India is the pointsman for them. Whatever India says, we'll do. And between India, Japan, and USA, we can influence the IMF also to help Sri Lanka out and the World Bank and all that. So India has got a lot of aces at this point of time. How well it plays is it? It is. Look, for me, the red line is keep China and Pakistan out. But we also need to remember that the Sri Lanka has problems
Within.
within, because 20 years of your hands-off policy with them is not going to overnight change. There are a lot of people who are not happy with India. There is also this Tamil problem. There is also the overflow into this. It's just a complex situation. So we need to be careful. Rather than saying this is my red line, I'll not, think. Let's be very flexible and careful. And we need to anticipate things. Okay. And we need to understand that Sri Lanka will function under a lot of limitations for a long time. The best thing for us to do is to co-opt Sri Lanka into our economy in some unobtrusive manner, right? Help their economy and through our economy. Okay. And it's feasible because you have the backing of Japan, the West, and USA, right? And Sri Lanka's exports are mainly to the West, it's not to China,
China.
right? So we have this opportunity. Let's see how we take it and how we handle it.
Sure, sir. I have a doozy coming up. Is Imran Khan coming back?
That's $1 million question, right? That's a
What's a
very
doozy?
look. He's drawing. I've seen some of his, jalsas. He's drawing phenomenal crowds.
That's
Okay,
in Lahore.
phenomenal crowds. Yeah, yesterday in Lahore, crowds are huge. I saw that talk. He has got a very clear agenda how to force elections at the earliest. This government is weak. There's no doubt about it. The Pakistani army is supporting this government. They are not very happy if Imran Khan comes back. Okay. I think this is my sense. If you have a proper election, Imran Khan will come back. Army won't like it. So the question is, will they interfere and fix the elections? We'll see. Interesting times. And this is a time when the chief is going to change in November.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting.
Okay. And this I've been saying from a long time. So who will become the chief? Who will appoint the chief? Imran Khan doesn't want this government to appoint a chief. He knows it. He will always go in for to say, let's have an acting chief or let this fellow retire, let there be an acting chief. We'll go through elections, I'll come back and then I'll appoint the chief.
I have a point.
And if that happens, and Pakistan army has lost its footing, will Pakistan army agree to it?
Tough question, sir.
So tough question. Unless the chief has decided who will fix the elections.
And funnily speaking, I'm saying tough question. If sometime back, probably the answer would have been no. But
Yeah,
right
but now everything, even the army is split between Imran Khan and the others. So
my natural instinct was tough question, but then I actually looked back and I said, that's not the right answer. But
yeah, there are a lot of angles to this story.
Yes. Right. Shritik says, sir, what is the realistic, doable actions for India in the short and in the long term to reduce increasing Chinese influence in South Asia, especially all around India?
Shritik, my view is, firstly, Chinese influence is not increasing, it's decreasing. Right? We need to push that, increase the level of waning. The speed of waning has to be speeded. Right? Like I said, we always give too much to China. There are two things for India to do very clearly. The first thing I think is the most important. We need internal strength. There's far too much of ethnicity in our system. There's far too much of nationalism coming into our system, one way or the other. Competitive nationalism is bad. A few years back, we were not so nationalistic, but yet we are patriotic. The political nationalism is dangerous for our country. Right? Our political parties are not giving us, many political parties are not giving us stable governments. I'm not talking of the center, I'm not talking of many states which are having stable government, but you see in the past 2 years how many state governments have changed. Internal strength is probably one of the most important things for India. If the day we are internally strong, my view is that we will automatically, this internal strength will show outside.
Yeah.
Our economy will grow. I mean, let me be very honest with you. Our economy has no choice but to grow because the people of India will make it grow irrespective of the government. I mean, I'm making this statement with a lot of responsibility because people of India are very industrious by nature, hardworking. So, any government which comes into play with a little bit of tweaking will run this economy well. The international sentiment is in favor of India. These two factors will ensure that India will grow consistently as one of the strongest growing economies. 1.3 to 1.4 billion people cannot be wished away. Okay. And luckily, we have a strong government in the center. I mean, we might have differences with it, that's a different story. Many would have, many will have, that's a different story, that's politics. But the government is strong and stable. Many important states have strong and stable governments. And they're doing well. So that way we are okay. But if we spread the stability across the country, you will see things going. The moment that happens, the external things will take care of themselves. I have no doubt about it.
Sir. Thanks, Gurmeet, for this super chat. Sir, Indian Navy needs to do more exercises.
I agree with Gurmeet. Indian Navy needs to exercise itself. More than Indian Navy needs to do exercises. Indian Navy has done a lot of exercises. Indian Navy has to build its capability. more than what it is today. Good thing is we are doing it.
Mhm.
So let's wait. I'm quite optimistic about the Indian Navy.
Mandar says again, every day we hear Pak army bleeding men in northwest frontier province and Balochistan. Not
Yeah,
just
I
there.
agree with
This as well.
that. Entire belt along the Durand line is in an unstable state. So this is one of the major problems that Pakistan is facing, and TTP is active. Balochistan rebels are active. Both Balochis and the Pashtuns are disaffected people. Uh, so this is going to continue. That is why Pakistan won't grow.
Mhm. Fault
The
lines.
population along this belt will not. And also, you have to understand something very fundamental. I mean, this is something which many people don't understand. Afghanistan is a basket case. Everyone knows that. The bulk of imports of Pakistan, which Pakistan buys in dollars and foreign currency, goes into Afghanistan and into the black market and sold in rupees. So the foreign, the exchange, or rather, I can see Adi laughing. It's bleeding.
$1
So
million a
today,
day.
whatever. The point is that Pakistan needs foreign exchange not only for itself but for Afghanistan also.
I
So
think
well,
I agree.
this will not change.
Yeah.
Pakistan will keep hemorrhaging. Their western border will be troublesome, and there are what we said earlier. So all the best to Pakistan.
Venki says Trans-Himalayan Railway has been ratified yesterday as part of the BRI.
Yeah,
And
but there's a long way to go. This ratified is what nothing. It's got
another
nothing.
comment from him is China never misses a chance to
Yeah,
claim
that
any.
again I agree, Venki. They'll never miss a chance. That's the Chinese culture and all that. But uh, I think many people have now realized everyone says, yeah, we'll do everything, and now they know how to truck out the Chinese also. I see that happening across a lot of places. Everywhere today, China is going. They'll say, we'll do it, yeah, and they'll try to sign some MOU and all that. Nothing happens after that.
Even Pakistan for that matter, the
Yeah,
SEZ.
look, Pakistan is a different case. They want Chinese to invest.
Yeah,
Chinese
but
won't invest there because whatever they invest, they'll never get back.
there are a lot of things Pakistan are becoming stumbling blocks. For example, the currency issue which is there in the
Yeah.
SEZ, they are not allowing it. Pakistanis are saying no, 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 we don't want Chinese yuan here. So I guess
So there are
what you're saying.
problems. So like I said, I won't give too much credit to China at this point of time.
So
And China, let me tell you, is going through its own problems. I'm writing an article on it. Maybe in the next couple of days, I'll put it out. Why China won't grow? Okay, I mean, the things which are coming into my mind is what should be the title of that article? Should be the Great Fall of China, or is it Failing China or Ailing China?
you've written great follow China. I think it's
I mean, these are the ideas which are coming out because the Chinese economy and the outlook is today not so good. Okay.
uh, Abhay says, did we really capture Nepal's territory? What is the
No, we
issue?
don't need. We have not captured
No,
Nepal's
I think
territory.
I think he's asking about the Lipu Lake, Kalapani,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Nepal.
that's ours. Lipu Lake Pass is ours always. Let me tell you, I've been to Lipu Lake Pass in 1984. So today, if Nepal claims Lipu Lake Pass as theirs at Chinese insistence, we shouldn't fall for it.
I've done a show on this. Abhay, if you'd like to, just please go through the playlists on Indian geography. You'll be able to find it. It's a detail with regards what is the entire issue. Uh, Mandar here again, who says Bangladesh is quite well run under Sheikh Hasina. Indeed.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But they have their own problems. They have their own radical elements within. Let's see where it goes. But I think they have generally stabilized.
So, what are the opportunities India has when Chinese are preoccupied?
Oh,
I
well,
think we
India has got a lot of opportunities. I can tell you this. India has the opportunity of, reclaiming its neighborhood, breaking that string of pearls. India has the opportunity of becoming the regional, power to reckon with. India has the opportunity of capturing space in global institutions. Slowly, India has the space to start getting into ASEAN. I think we have a lot of opportunities. We have economic opportunities. We have diplomatic opportunities. It depends on how well we use it.
Gurmeet, thanks again for the super chat. General sir, what is going on at the LAC?
Oh, nothing much. This is normal jostling up and down, small things. China is still saying, "Yo, we're here," and we are saying, "We know that." Okay, come, we'll sort you out. So these things will happen. These small things will happen. Nothing much. I'm not too bothered about it at this point of time. They will show some actions. See, like I said, China is going to be troublesome when its economy is down. So we have to be careful.
Yeah, yeah. Sir, after army takeover in Myanmar, India-Myanmar border is more stable. What is your view?
I don't think so because the Indian-Myanmar border has always been unstable. There are too many people going up and down that border. It's an open border almost. Uh, when I say open border, there's some fence and all that is fine. But there's too much jungle, too much everything. Everyone can go where they want there. And they go. Right? It's very difficult in that jungle if you've been there. So it's never a stable border.
Just a compliment for you, sir.
Thank you. Prophetic. Thanks, Venki. Yeah.
Right. Let's go here. Jai Hind, General sir, how would the Chinese aspect affect India-Iran and India-Middle East relationship, basically our extended neighborhood? You're an encyclopedia, sir.
Thanks a lot, Atharva. The point is this: China has made inroads into Iran and the Middle East. There's no doubt about it. They bought up virtually their entire oil for the next 20, 30 years. And a lot of trade is going on. The BRI has extended into these areas quite significantly, not into Iran, but into Middle East. But we have traditional links with the Middle East, cultural links with the Middle East. They will not go away. Let me tell you this: China or no China. I'll give you an example. I mean, I don't know how many of you know. Till the mid 60s or the late 60s, Bahrain was using our postal stamps.
UAE used to use our
Currency. So these things, links won't go. Oman is like any other coast of India if you go there. I knew a couple of friends in Oman. In fact, I was the sponsor student of a Omani officer when I was doing NDC. And he's like any other Indian. So that cultural links affinity is very deep. That won't go away. And if you see recently, the Saudis and the UAE people want to invest in India. They want to invest in JNK, right? Because they don't want to invest in USA. I mean, sorry, in China. They want to invest in India where they're very confident that they'll get returns and they're diversifying their economies, right? So they will come to us. And if you see that I2U2 deal which we went through, Iran, Israel, UAE, and India, not Iran, sorry, India, Israel, UAE, and USA. Okay, we are on a good wicket there. And plus, we have our own historic links with Iran. Okay, that have not gone anywhere. Iran, we were the biggest buyers of Iranian oil, till some time back, and I'm sure with time it will flip, it will come back. So, and if Iran is something like Myanmar, it will do what it wants. Okay, it's quite a maverick nation that way.
Yes.
Okay, and it's a civilizational power, whether you like it or not. So they're quite. They will go with China to the extent it suits them. They will go with us to the extent it suits them. Right. So we have to be careful about it. And look, Earlier, we could get away with it. Today, you're looking for a regional role. If you want a regional role, you should be prepared to play the game at that level, accept losses, accept risks, right, and more.
That's a
Okay.
very interesting thing, sir. Mr. Nair says, I think you missed Indonesia and Malaysia. Could you give a SWOT analysis for these two?
Yeah, Indonesia and Malaysia are caught between the rock and the hard place. There are a lot of investments of China in Indonesia and Malaysia, but at the same time, Indonesia and Malaysia are good friends of USA. They want to swing towards India because they feel safety. They also hedge. My interaction with those people with whom I've dealt with in, from Indonesia and Malaysia, they feel that okay, we'll go with the Chinese, but our escape valve is India, right? So they'll always come back to you. It's up to us to see how to exploit this. I'll give you an example. This happened about 3 or 4 years back. You know, that was a time when the Chinese were at their peak. 2016, it was. We had an international disaster management seminar in Chennai. There was a chap from China who came. A lot of, I mean, the entire Southeast and the Asian countries. A lot of people came. Uh, I was speaking to a Malaysian out there. He says, "Tell me anything I can get for disaster relief for Malaysia from India. I'll buy it." He says, "I'll buy it today." Okay, I'll buy it today because I trust Indian equipment and I know I can get back to people here. I don't. My government says go to India and buy. Although before we are forced to buy from China, so the opportunity is there. And now, also you have to understand that Indonesia and Malaysia have deep ties with USA. A lot of their officers have trained in USA. Okay, so they're not going to be. Americans have started moving towards them, though. China has made inroads into Malaysia, especially Malaysia, uh, and to a large extent even Indonesia. There are also territorial disputes. You also have to understand that Malaysia didn't buy the JF-617s recently.
Yeah.
They're going in for Tejas, despite JF-17 being cheaper, because the international reputation of Chinese arms and ammunition and weapons have been low. So, look, the opportunities are there. There's no doubt about it. Can we make use of them is a $1 million question. Is our why I say why have this question mark is for some funny reason the armed forces are being left out of this whole story. Unless you have the armed forces dealing with these countries, you'll not make headway. And I'll tell you why. It's a very, very, very fundamental and simple thing. In all these countries, the armed forces there are part of the decision making at the national level. They feel comfortable to speak to an armed forces, a guy in uniform, right? Rather than speaking to a civilian or a bureaucrat. Look, bureaucrats have a stamp universally across. When I dealt with other countries, I also used to be very happy, easy dealing with the armed forces guys. There's a wavelength matching. So
Mm.
unless we get the armed forces onto the deal, we will not make much headway, right? And plus, you also have to understand that our Indian armed forces have tremendous depth of in international relations, which we are not tapping because of our performance in UN, because of our performance in disaster management. In fact, the DD is going to come out with a documentary soon on the disaster management efforts of India from, say, 2014. They've covered about 10, 12. I've also spoken on that in that documentary. Now, who does disaster management? Armed forces. The executive arm is the armed forces, whether it's in Yemen or Nepal or tsunami 2004 or wherever. So if we don't use this ace, as a nation we lose. It's not, I'm not being parochial because I'm from the armed forces. I'm giving logic.
So, why doesn't India, along with US and Japan, build a land route to Sri Lanka, maybe a road, rail over Ramsetu? It will allow quick deployment of the Indian Army.
I don't think that's a good idea. We should allow them. The moment you do all that, you will have a problem within Sri Lanka. You'll create a problem within Sri Lanka between the Tamils and the Sinhalese, and you will get back to the old days. I think the last system which has to go into Sri Lanka is the Indian Army.
There's a organizational history to it. So, do you think anti-India sentiments are more cynical, more cyclic political in nature?
I have a different view on this. In the earlier times, India was a bit myopic. We were considered as a regional bully. We wanted these countries to behave like one of our states. This is not what I'm saying, it is what they say. When I have interacted with their officers, basically in courses and in abroad also, or whenever in exchange programs. So, one by one, we lost them because China befriended them, enticed them with cheap loans, and caught them. Now they're suddenly stuck with China. Okay, China is like that Sinbad the sailor ke upar jo that old man has sat. He'll not get on. What do they do? So they're coming back to you. What do? We need to be, like I said, smart. Keep the distance. Let them do their trick. By building a bridge here and a tunnel there and, rushing your army across, you'll go against the people. Let things evolve. They'll fall naturally into our system.
I'm going to put up two questions which are kind of linked with each other, sir, or two statements rather. I read that the West shifted their polluting industry to China and now pushing the climate agenda with relatively clean hands. And the second one is a compliment which says, "Bravo, glad to hear someone say we don't need to be the manufacturing base of."
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't want to be a manufacturing base in any place. We need not be. We should do what's good for our country, not what's good for the world. Okay. So that's the first thing. What is the first question which said? I mean,
did the US,
climate change. Look, the entire West put their complete polluting industry into China. The rare earths. Why is everyone says China controls the rare earth of the world, rare earth minerals, but they are the most polluting industries. America closed its rare earth producing capability and told China, please take it.
They passed a bill that nobody will make it again.
Make it. Australia has enough rare earths, but they're not touching it even today. They're not interested.
Absolutely.
They have suddenly realized that China will continue polluting themselves, and so when you pollute, what do? You pollute your agriculture, you pollute your arable land, you pollute your cities, you pollute drinking water. So today, the rivers of China are not fit for drinking. Forget drinking; they're not fit for agriculture. The arable land in China, I heard, is only about 7 to 10% of their entire land mass.
Sorry.
Yeah. So they don't get food. That's why they have to stock food and this and that. That's a different story what they're doing because they have the money to do it. But fundamentally, they have a problem.
Big. Yeah.
And what's worse, they don't have technology for good seeds. Again, this is not what I have said. This is what Mr. Xi Jinping says every 3 months. Every 3 months, unfailingly, it's in some conference or the other, he tells China should get self-sufficiency in food technology and grow own seeds.
Which they're not able to
Because
do.
he's not able to. Everyone thinks, what's the use of going to the bloody moon? Yeah, you can't grow your own seeds.
Yeah.
So what's your technology? Okay. So there are so many issues involved in this whole story, right? And I think we need to play smart. Our economy has no choice but to grow,
The Chinese doesn't
provided
have.
provided we take care of a few fundamentals. What are those fundamentals? That's my way of looking at it. Water, uh, pharmaceuticals, because health and pharmaceuticals. We have one of the best health systems if you can monetize it, and you have one of the best pharmaceutical industry. Put these together, monetize it, and you will be a top earner. And we are doing it. I mean, I'm not saying that we are not doing it. I'm saying third, you have the capability of overturning the IT industry of the world. Do it. It's good that our startups have taken off. AI, cyber, all this nonsense, robotics. We are good at it. Defense. You need to be self-sufficient in defense. If these 4, 5 things are taken care of, you will be a power on your own right. You don't have to think. After all, we are the biggest, world's largest producers of food, milk. Okay, so there are a lot of things which we have to do sensibly.
Even now, our forces increase so far. So if we do what you're telling us to do, it's
It'll go. It'll just open up. If
absolutely.
you don't have to do everything. Our PLI schemes are doing well. They have to, right? People will come to India. I mean, uh, I still remember 1991. I mean, many of you, I don't know whether you lived through that period. I've lived through that period. Okay, let me put something else to all of you. Everyone says India was poor. We had to go and put our gold in England. Yeah, all that. We were still living a happy life. Okay, we're still leading a happy life. Probably my pay wasn't so much, but I could still afford a car. I was just a major those days, and my son was just a couple of years old, young fellow. He was just around born 88, 89, and young family. We lived well. Yeah, we couldn't afford 5-star hotels. We couldn't. We used to stay in guest houses, that IBs and all that. Oh, okay, it's okay. But we still did our touring. We still did sightseeing, whatever we could afford.
We had a ball, sir. That's
Yeah, people had a good time. It's not as if that we were in Philistines,
absolutely. That's not the
right?
case in other countries.
Yeah, people still. I had foreign friends then. I have foreign friends today also, right? So it's not so bad that even now we are on a good wicket. Okay. I mean, look, I'll give you another thing. I'm in Chennai. Um, what are the labor I get in Chennai? Who are the household help I have? They're all boys from the northeast and Nepal and Bhutan. Local people don't work at homes. Oh, economy has changed because the local guy, he is doing his own business or working somewhere.
Restoration.
Yeah, he's moved on from household jobs.
That's true, sir.
We also have to see What do we want? The day our poorest citizen has enough food to eat, he's got a house to this thing, and his children go to good school, he gets good water to drink. I think it's enough. Electricity, these basics. Yeah, to that extent, what our prime minister is doing is fine. Some free gas, some free electricity. Many people say they're getting it. Some people say they don't get it, but that's part of democracy. Some people say, "Oh, loot gaya." Some people say, "Mil gaya." But कुछ तो कोशिश है ही ना.
That's what. So let's just run through quite a bit
Yeah.
of stuff, and we can give short, crisp answers. How do you rate Indian diplomacy efforts in curbing China's influence in the Asia Pacific? Still looks like a rabbit and turtle race to me, with India
Yeah,
being
Buller, everyone thinks China is a turtle. I'm
no,
happy.
no,
I mean,
India
sorry,
being
China
the
is a.
turtle.
All right, we are the turtle and they are the rabbit. Let them keep running like rabbits. I am happy to be a turtle. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. We'll win the race.
Constant pace, absolutely, sir. Every poll opposition use anti-Indian.
Political opposition.
Yeah. So well, how
I
do we
don't
get on?
think so. I don't think this is right. I don't think every political opposition uses a anti-India narrative, right? Let's not do this. Think that the opposition is anti-India. Uh, okay. After all, many of these opposition parties were once in power. They ran India for a long time. So at that point of time, look, you also talk. You have to understand this. BJP had only 1 or 2 seats when India was reforming. Okay, they didn't have any representation. So, and whatever is happening in India is not because of today's ruling party.
Whole history that takes it forward.
There's a history. You look at this state where I am, Tamil Nadu. It didn't matter which ruling party was there. It was once Tamil Congress, then it went to DMK, then ADMK, then Karunanidhi, Jayalalitha. Today, someone else. But the state progresses.
So,
Okay, so let's not say that every political party except the ruling party is anti-national or anti-India narrative.
certain
That's
incidents are there which are, of course, different,
that
but
is not being this thing. Tomorrow, what happens if you change your mind and you vote that political party into power?
it's still a democracy, and
It's a
they're
democracy.
right.
They have the right, and it is up to us to respect their rights. Whether we vote for them or not is a different thing. Whether you might like that party or not is a different thing. I might like it or not is a different thing. That's our prerogative. Unless a party shows pure anti-India tendencies, I think we should give space to everyone to function. Right?
Question on
Yeah.
artillery. Russia is using a variety of. Okay, I think this is an artillery question. I'd like to, inform you here that me and General Shankar, with the vast knowledge that he has as the former DG artillery, are working on an episode, not one episode, a series called the Firepower, where we will discuss these things in detail. So I request you kind of,
Yeah, we'll handle this then during a
yeah.
5-part series. It's going to come up
Uh,
shortly.
Modi is a liability. I would not want to actually. I'm sorry, sir.
Again, I don't think this is the right way of doing it. He's my prime minister.
Absolutely.
Okay, he's my prime minister. You might have a view about Modi. Please carry on. He's my prime minister. And I respect him.
I think this gentleman comes from Sri Lanka.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
for joining from there. But Indian,
Yeah, I agree with you, Sri Ranjana. Rodrigo, I agree with you completely. We are not going to, influence you beyond a point. We want to give you space. You are a different country. I have always maintained. I have good friends in Sri Lanka, right? Please live your life. We'll help you. We'll help you live the life you want.
that's what we've been doing till now.
Yeah, we've been doing till now. There are no strings attached.
Excuse me. Is it fair to say CPEC was signed in 2013 based on an assumption that India would have a China-friendly regime?
I don't think so, Venki. Euphoria in Pakistan for CPEC was different. And you have to understand the mindset of Pakistan when they signed the CPEC. See, Pakistan in their entire life has had free money. Okay. No, they've never repaid a loan. They've only taken loans and never repaid them. They've only taken grants. So, to their understanding, if China was investing $62 billion, they were prepared to take it. Whether they call it loan, no loan, they were not interested at that point of time. They said, someone is investing, my roads will come up, my power will come up, my water will come up, everything. It was a dream. And the Chinese felt, look, we will invest. Pakistan is a staunch thing and it's a strong country with a strong political thing. The army will support X, Y, Z and we'll get returns. And we'll get Gwadar immediately. It's 10 years. Gwadar is now still a bloody shipping port where you can only get fish. Right? So there was a huge misunderstanding between the way China looked at CPEC and the way Pakistan looked at CPEC. And suddenly China said, please give my loan back, where's my return of investment? So Pakistan said, I am the return of investment. You take my bloody brides, you take my donkeys. Okay. So there's no anti-India sentiment in this. In fact, around that time, I remember China came very strongly at us and said, we will give you a special BRI and all. Thank God, we said, get lost.
So do you think Nepal and Sri Lankan ministers trapped by Chinese with some bad things?
I think all the countries have been trapped by China. There's not only Sri Lanka and Nepal. It is Sri Lanka,
Ministers.
Nepal, Pakistan. No, I don't think ministers. Again, I wouldn't like to go into personalities, right? Egypt. If you see today, Kenya is under elections. I don't know who's won that election. Both the guys who are opposing, they're cursing the Chinese. We did a thing. I don't know. Anyway, it's okay. I mean, it doesn't affect us. What I'm trying to say is there's a competitive sense in which they're running the Chinese down. That's the point.
Right,
Okay.
gentlemen. There's just 3-4 people that we've not taken up, so I'll just like to include them in the conversation so that they don't feel left out. I haven't seen Pakistan this much weak ever. For the first time, I see Pakistan army losing in popularity.
I agree completely. They're in absolute doldrums. Right, Pakistan army itself is, I think, split between Imran Khan and Shahbaz Sharif and the thing. So let us see where it goes.
So do you think we need a shock therapy in our approach for China as we are trying to put various
Look,
kinds
again, I somehow I get this feeling that everyone is in awe of China. Honestly, I mean, and I will spend a couple of minutes on this, Aadi.
Before you do so, guys, please watch our episodes on China Watch. It's in the playlist. You'll kind of get a real picture of what China is all about.
Whatever. Look, everyone says China, the information doesn't come out, and you can't predict China. China thinks long term. China does this. China does nothing. He's a bloody stupid 2 feet tall Chinese with a bloody set of pigtails from my side. Whatever I have analyzed about China is coming true. I'll give you you go to gunnershot.com and 100 odd articles I've written over 650 articles, maybe 100 odd articles on China, right from 2011-12 when not 2011-12, 2016 onwards, after I quit service, I started writing on China. Everything what I've written is come correct. Why? I have not gone to China. I don't know Chinese. No, this information is available in public domain if you read it. If you read Chinese articles, if you read Chinese people writing, Chinese people carry out something called influence ops. So what do? They'll write in all kinds of papers. Okay. It could be New York Times, it could be South China Morning Post, it could be Australian, it could be Sydney Morning Herald, it could be Dawn. They write. Or they get people to write. You can make out. And when they write something, you analyze 3 or 4 articles, the truth comes out. And, and once you read over a period of time on the same subject from different viewpoints, You come to start gauging where China is. Yeah, if you go part of a delegation to China, that fellow will tell you something. He'll show you some shit pot which is very absolutely gleaming, and you say China has progressed. You'll believe it. If you've been to the LAC 10 times, I've seen the LAC from Karakoram Pass to Kibitu. Every point of the LAC I've seen. I've seen Chinese across. So once you see these chaps in real life, you see them working, you see their men working, you see how they behave, you then realize he's a normal guy. He's got no special this thing. His system of governance, his hardworking nature, he's hardworking, has all been put together by the Communist Party, which is damn good. Right? And America backed them in 72. See, America had the choice of backing India or China. Nixon hated India, so he went to China and did a deal with Mao. 72, 71, we kicked the Americans out of this area. The same Nixon who called Mrs. Indira Gandhi a witch. This is public, okay? Yeah. So they backed China, and China grew. And the Chinese communists were smart enough to understand, look, and then they had this great leader in Deng Xiaoping, who reformed their economy, who reformed their thinking. But now comes Xi, he's taking them back to Mao days. Don't worry, you watch this one as days unfold. I am waiting for the day Xi Jinping becomes the third time president. Oh. I'll go to the nearest mandir and break a coconut.
That'll be the worst day for China, sir.
No, it's the best day for India.
Yeah.
Okay. He is going to take China's pants off. He's already started doing it.
I don't know if you would agree with me. He's the Imran Khan of China.
And Imran Khan are my most favorite politicians in Pakistan and China. If they come, India will prosper. We'll get our seat in UNSC also. I'm very confident.
And we're not saying this, gentlemen. This all is there in the open domain, written by Chinese. So, please, all I would recommend is you can follow Sir on Twitter.
Let's not give these fellows too much. We gave them space, fine. Now we take it back.
So do you think? Okay, I
think there's no shock therapy required.
There's one more.
On the other hand, China is getting shock therapy, incidentally. Look, wait, before we go. Sir. Have you ever seen Dalai Lama going in an IAF helicopter and landing in Leh? I have not seen it. I met Dalai Lama in Leh only, in Tikse Monastery. Those of you who've been there. I used to serve in Leh those days, headquarters 3D. Me and my GOC went and met him. Long back, I'm talking of 2005. He used to come every year, second year, every 2 years, once in 2 years, Dalai Lama goes to Leh. But he never came in Indian Army, Indian Air Force helicopters. This time he's come in an Indian Air Force helicopter, and a photograph has gone to China. Okay. For the first time, our foreign ministry has not mentioned one China in its talk.
And they mention an ambiguity.
For the first time, Sri Lanka has told China, don't get your ship. Whether it's come, we knew it's going to come, but we sent a message. Okay. For the first time, a Bangladeshi finance minister has publicly told that it's bad to take loans from China.
For the first time,
requested
for a hotline.
Yeah.
The Chinese minister requested for a hotline for the first time.
For the first time. We would have told them, you come next time, we'll shoot you down and be happy after that. For the first time, Kenya, two opposition chaps are saying how to kick China out. Angola, which was the jewel in the crown of China, the African jewel in Chinese crown, or whichever way you look at it. has said, "Get lost, China." In Angola, there were 3 lakh Chinese at a point of time. Today, they're not even 20,000. So don't, I mean, if you read China across, 5 firms have been delisted from New York Stock Exchange for the first time.
Today,
Today or yesterday, something happened. I mean, when I say yesterday, between yesterday and today.
Alibaba is one of them.
Okay. And I showed a slide 3 days, 4 days back. Alibaba sales have gone down by nearly 50%. Right? I showed that slide, and it's not again my talk. It's that Chinese reporter reporting from China.
Interestingly, I'd like to also mention, sir, that this is the only time where we actually find the US is taking very, very strong action against, or let me say, calling the Chinese bluff. As we speak today, another congressional committee of 5 or 7 of these congressmen
Going to Taiwan
again.
So China's bluff is being called fairly and squarely across the board. Gone are the days when China could dictate things. So I would supplicate. That doesn't mean that China is a weak country. China remains a strong country.
But it is not 10 feet tall.
It's not. Yeah, you have to deal with it sensibly.
Absolutely. There are loads of more, sir, but I'd like to read the last one which I had put up already, so he should not feel bad. Should India focus on its economy? And this is something I really appreciate, by the way. This thought process is amazing, I must say. Should India
I agree. Sunny, I agree completely. We need to focus on our economy. We need to build up our strength. We need to build up our military and do what we are supposed to do as a nation. And then let China destroy its own economy. It's anyway doing it for you. Why you want to interfere in that fellow when he's going down? You don't have to make great noises about him. Ooh, don't talk of one China. It's automatically understood you're not for one China.
We're the only South Asian country which has not spoken about
it. Hey, this is something I must share with you. Today evening, I was told, someone said, "So we want an article on Taiwan from you." I said, "Why do you want me? Taiwan, wo to khatam ho gaya pura." So they said, no, sir. The Taiwanese government has sent a thank you note to most of the media in India, those prominent media houses in India, which have supported Taiwan. So they said, "Sir, will you please write this thing?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not interested. I have to write about China. I have to write about India. I have to write about Atmanirbharta, whatever." They said, "No, sir. On Taiwan, you please write." I said, "Okay, I'll write." There's a shift happening. Get that shift. Yeah, we need to be strategically confident, not overconfident like China. Confident. I understand many of you will not believe what I'm saying, but be confident. Look, we are a great country. Whether you like it or not, Ramayana and Mahabharata happened here. It didn't happen in Thailand or in China. Buddha went from here to China. Okay. Yuan Sang came from China to here to learn about us. This is our heritage. Okay. One of the 12 apostles of Christ, St. Thomas, came to India. We are a sacred land there. His remains are buried in St. Thomas Church, St. Thomas Basilica in Chennai. Have you gone and seen? Any one of you? Do you know that? Many of you probably don't even know. St. Thomas Mount is St. Thomas. He was one of the 12 apostles of Christ.
Yes, sir. And the second mosque after the Middle East was in Cochin.
In India. Islam came to India naturally. Today it is coming through all other funny things. It came naturally and Indians accepted Islam naturally.
Parsis, Jews.
You name, we accepted people, we accepted religions, we accepted cultures, we exported our own. The biggest Hindu temple in the world is in Thailand.
Angkor Wat.
No, sorry, Cambodia. Angkor Wat. Okay, we have a great heritage. We are getting back there. Let's have that confidence in ourselves. Not as a political party, not as a regional party, not as a South Indian or a North Indian or a West Indian or a East Indian. As an Indian, tomorrow's our Independence Day. Let's say Happy Independence Day. We are independent. We are thanks to the British. They can keep calling Pakistani chiefs for their Sanders to passing out parades and keep going with their drought. Have confidence. We'll grow.
Prolific statement, sir. Let's end this on a funny note, sir. Maybe akin to Imran and Z, might too consider beaming an India story in one of his.
Look, there's the India story is playing out on its own. Why should I?
No, he's saying that Imran Khan put up Jai Shankar.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Look, I don't know if you're following Imran Khan's, speeches. I like to listen to Imran Khan because unfailingly he quotes India as a shining example to Pakistanis. See what India is doing, what we are doing. It gives you a kick. Okay, so I think we are still a great country. Let's have confidence, not be overconfident. Let's all put our hands together and take our country to its logical destination. What is that logical destination? It's not to be a great power in the world. It's to ensure that the poorest Indian gets his 3 square meals with a roof over his head, enough clothes to wear, enough water to drink, and enough health
And education.
and education for his children. That to me is progress.
It doesn't matter which list that you feature in on IMF or World Bank.
Useless.
Because if you read those IMF statements, by the way, last month they said that India had 0% chance of having a recession and the USA almost some 30% chance. Today they came up with a statement saying that the US economy is going to go up by 30%, and with Chinese economy that we've discussed is going to go up by another 30%. So I don't know what do they smoke. It's something besides me.
Anyway, they play their own games. Let's leave it at that.
So let's not bother about all that stuff. As Sir is saying, I think it's a very important message that all of us must take back. Sir, thank you so much. This has been an eye-opener for an interview because I think a lot of people don't cover the Indian neighborhood as a concise entity. It's always we talk about Pakistan, and I'm sure a lot of us would mention that you guys didn't talk about Afghanistan. We didn't talk about, I think, Mr. Money, Mr. Nair actually came up and said that you guys have not mentioned
Malaysia.
South Asia. So I'm sure we missed out certain things. If you think that we need to cover anything in specific in our next live, let us know. It'll be nice to have your suggestions. It's always heartening to see people joining in and sending in so many questions. It's quite, I'd try and accommodate as many as people as possible. But obviously, it does take a little bit of effort, and I try to give everybody a kind of an opportunity to put their voice across in this particular forum with Jan Shankar. As I said, thank you so much. Hit the like button, subscribe, and of course, you can contribute to the Dev Talks effort with the UPI number under the screen right here, and you can join the channel by becoming a member. You can send supers, or you can just click thanks. So, thank you so much for a lovely chat. I think we've exceeded our own time limits, but it's been an amazing session. I think, and we're getting
Thanks a lot.
lot of guys, excellent session. Thank you so much. So we're getting a lot of compliments as well. So thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, and happy Independence Day to everyone.
Till next time, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.